and Ezelle from the upcoming. It's really lovely to speak to you both, and congratulations on this fantastic series. So perhaps I can start. For those viewers that are coming into it, what is the series Those About to Die about? What can viewers expect when they watch this?
It's I guess it's like ancient Rome in a more holistic way than we've seen before, where you have sort of mid-level gangsters and their henchmen trying to fight their way up to the patrician class. You have celebrity sports stars living in Rome, and then you have the familiar things we've seen, which is this insanely rich, wealthy, powerful class of the emperor and his family, and those that are slaves and those about to die, I guess, who are sort of churned up in this mad, ancient Roman civilization.
So, Emilio, can you tell me a little bit about the appeal of the script? What was it that made you want to climb on board with this series and then playing Zenon?
Well, there's a study that men think about the ancient Rome 3 times a day, and I am one of those. So I was always in love with movies about ancient Rome. And then, of course, to be part of a production with those names, Roland Emmerich, Marco Kreuzpointner, were just Marco, whom I really tried to work with many times before, but we never really had the chance to. So it was clear that I really want to be part of it. At that time, I was still touring in Germany, so I didn't really have a lot of time. And it was clear, okay, you can only come after April, I think. So if you want to be part of it, you have to be a charioteer. And it was not really a question of which part am I going to take, but how we could maybe adjust or put more layers into the characters. So especially Zenon at the beginning was a very, very flat character. There was not a lot of, there were not so many layers as after we worked on it. And I really loved the layer that we put on, especially the one when it comes to being in love with Scarus. So it was very, very, it was like a dream come true to be part of this project.
And Dimitri, can you tell us about your character Scarus and how did you prepare to play him? Because it's actually quite a physically challenging role as well. Mm-hmm. And then what was it like to have that layer as well of romance into your character's storyline?
In preparation, there was a few different things. As you say, there was a physical element that was getting in shape, but also learning to deal with horses and chariots. I'm not someone that's ever been very comfortable around horses, to be honest. So for me, turning up and having to kind of find my way around that, and we started very basic stuff like cleaning stables and brushing the horse, and then graduated to riding carriages, which is the ones you sort of sit on. And then eventually, it was on these 4-horse chariots, which is like a skateboard with some reins attached to 4 giant Hungarian horses. So learning all of that in the sort of time space that we had was amazing. It was hard, but we had an amazing Hungarian team that it's the best Hungarian horse stunt team in the world. I think they're really great. And then the layers on top of that were like, Scarus has this sort of strange romantic life in a way. He's got these quite amorous affairs in these prostitution taverns and has all these sort of, he's a regular there, let's say. And then there's Gabriella, who plays Antonia, and there's a kind of thing between the two of them. She sort of owns the blue faction that he races for. So there's a strange dynamic between the two of them. And then there's this relationship with Zenon. And it was Emilio's idea that Zenon was maybe in love with Scarus, and Roland loved it, and we spoke about that, and then we just fed it into these scenes. And it was funny because retroactively looking at other scenes, it was like, well, it all plays slightly differently once you know. You don't have to, you know what I mean? You're like, when these sort of moments of Emilio sort of seeing Scarus behaving how Scarus behaves, there's this layer underneath it where it's not just disapproval that Emilio is when he's looking at it. It's also perhaps a jealousy and perhaps quite hurt by it. So it added all these sort of strange layers as you look back into these other scenes.
And I think, obviously, you've got Gladiators, Troy, you've got a lot of this genre type. But I think by even having that between, your characters, that romance, and because it's a series, it means that you can delve quite deeply into those layers. Completely. Was that something that really appealed to you about coming on board, because you could go a bit deeper with it?
I think it's always fun to be part of a show because you have so much more time to tell a story. while in a film you're so limited to, I don't know, let's say 1.5 hours or 2 hours. Maybe if it's a big movie, 3 hours. This is straight on 10 hours of time to tell different stories, many stories. There's so much more time.
Obviously, working with Roland Emmerich in the driving seat, what was that like to have that as a director, and then sort of have this brilliant ensemble cast, which include obviously Sir Anthony Hopkins as well? I mean, what was that like for you guys?
Amazing. I mean, Roland becomes sort of a friend by the end of it, because he's quite an open character. Roland is obviously within the industry, his name really sort of stands out. We all know these huge blockbuster type movies that he's made over the last 2 decades now, I think. But actually, as a person, he's very sweet and very open and very childlike on set. Although he is extremely demanding. You know, if he wants something a certain way, we will get it that way, because we're all here for that. You know, that's why all this money's been spent. That's why these sets have been built. It isn't just to make do on the day. It's like, let's get this right. And so, in some sense, extremely demanding. In another sense, you know, after sort of telling everyone what he wants, he's then sort of clapping and giddy when he gets it. So there's this sort of duality to him that is really interesting. So I don't know about you, Emilio, but I love.
Like he was very shy at the beginning, you know, unless it was work in a private room. It was he was shy, but then, as you said, it's a lot of fun to be with him and to just talk to him and find out. I sat down with him one day and he told me the whole story about Independence Day and how it happened and what happened. I mean, we're talking about a time where movies were so big, you know, people would go into the theaters and just enjoy movies and not be on their phone while they're watching a movie. So it's very, very interesting to dig in those, historic stories of Roland Emmerich.
Some amazing stories. He really, I mean, he's been around for, you know, so long. You think about The Patriot was 20 years ago or something. So he has some incredible stories. Yeah,
he really has. Yeah.
If you speak to him, get them out of him.
Don't twist them out of him.
We didn't say anything.
And what do you hope that viewers will take away from watching this?
Oh, I mean, I hope they have a lot of fun. First of all, I think it is a Roland Emmerich production. It's like, I hope they really enjoy this spectacle of sport and drama on a stage like the Roman Empire. You know, delve into some little sort of niche areas of Rome that we haven't seen. You know, I love that there's this sort of mid-level gangster in Rome trying to work his way up. I think that's just great, and the utility of having these sort of kids that run around as spies for him and then all report back throughout the city. I just thought that stuff to me is really fun. And so there's sort of delightful stuff that we haven't really seen, and then just really enjoy the drama and spectacle of it.
And the foundation of sport, of modern sport. I mean, it's so big these days. I just watched the Drive to Survive documentation about the Formula One. And this is basically the foundation of Formula One. This is how it started. They all wanted to have the best horses. They wanted to have the best charities. They needed money. They were stars. This is the beginning of modern sport, what we have today.